Today, we'll be exploring the core principles of appraisal in real estate. This first slide sets the stage by focusing on the appraisal profession itself. Essentially, appraisal is all about understanding how value in real estate is analyzed, supported, and effectively communicated. It's a foundation that guides how properties are valued accurately and fairly. As we move forward, keep in mind that these fundamental concepts are crucial for anyone involved in real estate valuation, whether you're an appraiser, investor, or other real estate professional. Real estate appraisal is essentially a professional opinion about a property's market value at a specific point in time. It's not just a guess. This opinion is based on a thorough process that combines market evidence, detailed property analysis, and various valuation methods. The goal is to arrive at a credible and impartial estimate of value that can be trusted. The core standard in appraisal work is that it must be objective, supported by evidence, and defensible if challenged. To do this effectively, the appraiser looks closely at both the property itself and the surrounding market conditions. This comprehensive approach helps ensure that the appraisal reflects an accurate snapshot of the property's worth. Now, let's explore the 5 fundamental principles of appraisal, which are key to understanding real estate value. First is substitution, the idea that value is influenced by the cost of comparable alternatives. Essentially, buyers will compare similar properties and choose the one that offers the best value. Next, we have supply and demand. When a property is scarce and there's strong buyer interest, prices tend to rise, reflecting this balance between availability and desire. The third principle is anticipation, which tells us that the expected future benefits of property, like potential income or development, affect its value today. Then there's change, reminding us that both markets and properties are constantly evolving. This means values can fluctuate over time due to various economic or environmental factors. Lastly, competition plays a crucial role. Profit opportunities attract competitors, which in turn influences property values and keeps the market dynamic. Together, these principles form the framework that helps appraisers evaluate real estate accurately and consistently. Understanding them is essential to grasping how value is created, influenced, and interpreted in the real estate market. Here, we're focusing on the principle of substitution, which is fundamental to property appraisal. Simply put, a buyer won't pay more for a property than what they would spend on a comparable alternative. This means that the value of a property is influenced by what similar homes in the market are selling for. If there are comparable homes available at a lower price, this sets an upper limit on what a buyer is willing to pay. It's a natural market behavior. Buyers look for the best value, and if something similar can be found for less, the more expensive option becomes less attractive. The appraisal process uses recent sales of comparable properties to help determine the value of the subject property. For example, if the home we're appraising is asking $420,000, but similar homes are selling between $395,000 and $405,000, this puts downward pressure on the asking price. Essentially, buyers will expect the market value to align closer to those comparable sales rather than the higher asking price. This keeps property values realistic and grounded in what the market will bear. Here we focus on the fundamental principle of supply and demand in real estate. Essentially, property values tend to rise when demand outpaces the available supply. When there are fewer properties on the market, buyers compete more aggressively, which puts upward pressure on prices. This limited supply means fewer choices, making each available property more valuable. On the other hand, when supply exceeds buyer interest, values tend to soften because sellers face more competition and buyers have more options. The key is market balance. If demand is strong and there are many interested buyers relative to the number of homes, prices are more likely to increase because people are willing to pay more to secure a property. Appraisers carefully analyze these dynamics at any given time, looking at how supply and demand interact to determine market value. Understanding this relationship is crucial for both buyers and sellers in navigating the real estate market effectively. Here, we focus on Principle 3, which is all about market expectations and anticipation. Essentially, the value of a property isn't just based on the physical building itself as it stands today. Instead, it reflects the benefits that buyers expect to receive in the future. This means that factors like expected income from property, anticipated neighborhood growth, and planned improvements can all contribute to an increase in value even before these changes fully materialize. Understanding this anticipation helps us better appraise real estate by looking beyond the present and considering future potential. Let's focus on the principle of neighborhood transformation and market dynamics, which is a fourth key concept in our discussion. Property value is not a static figure. It changes over time as neighborhoods evolve, improvements age, land use shifts, and broader market conditions fluctuate. This dynamic nature means that appraisers have to look beyond just the current condition. They must consider the physical, economic, and social forces at play. Essentially, appraisers measure the present value while understanding that it's influenced by time, the condition of property, and its surrounding environment. This principle highlights how interconnected and fluid real estate values truly are. Here, we're diving into the principle of competition and how it impacts market value. First, competition acts as a moderating force on value by limiting how much one property can outperform its substitutes. On the buyer side, when there are more options available, buyers gain leverage because they can compare listings, which reduces the pricing power sellers have. From the market perspective, strong profits attract new supply as more competitors enter the scene. This influx of inventory can create downward pressure on values. Conversely, scarcity on the supply side, meaning fewer rivals in the market, can support higher premiums because limited substitutes strengthen demand. We can see this process in three steps. Initially, a segment shows high returns, which then draws competing properties into the market. Finally, this competition leads to excess value normalizing over time. For appraisers, the key takeaway is to carefully analyze the current competitors, anticipate likely new entrants, and understand how many choices buyers actually have. Ultimately, value is influenced by the number and quality of alternatives available, so when buyers have more comparable options, price pressure increases and value premiums tend to narrow. This dynamic is crucial to keep in mind when assessing market value. The appraisal process is a disciplined workflow that appraisers follow carefully to ensure accuracy and credibility. It starts with defining the assignment, which means identifying property, its intended use, the scope of work, and the effective date. This initial step sets the foundation for the entire appraisal. Next, the inspector visits a property to observe site conditions, improvements, overall quality, and any physical features relevant to the valuation. This first-hand review is critical to understanding the asset fully. Following the property review, the appraiser gathers market data. This includes comparable sales, leases, costs, and neighborhood trends, which provide vital evidence about the property's market context. Then comes the analysis stage, where different valuation methods are applied. The appraiser reconciles these various indications and tests their reasonableness to arrive at a well-supported value estimate. Finally, the appraisal concludes with a comprehensive report. This document clearly communicates a final opinion of value, supported by all the evidence, assumptions, and conclusions developed throughout the process. Each of these 5 core stages, define, inspect, research, analyze, and report, serve to narrow uncertainty and strengthen the credibility of the appraisal outcome. When appraisers estimate the value of a property, they typically rely on 3 main approaches, chosen based on the type of property, how the market behaves, and the data that's available. The first is the cost approach, which calculates value by adding the land value to the cost of building the improvements, then subtracting any depreciation. This method works best for newer properties or those with special uses. Next is the income approach, where the property's value is determined by the income it can generate and the return investors expect. This is ideal for rental properties and investment assets. Finally, the sales comparison approach estimates value by looking at similar properties that have recently sold in the same market, making it the go-to method for active residential markets. Each approach offers a unique perspective tailored to different situations. The professional appraiser plays a crucial role in translating market evidence into a credible value. This role is much more than just a number. It requires a combination of field inspection, thorough market analysis, sound professional judgment, and clear, concise reporting. First, the appraiser must inspect and verify the property, paying close attention to its condition, quality, layout, site features, and all relevant physical characteristics. This hands-on approach ensures a deep understanding of the property itself. Next comes market analysis, where the appraiser researches current sales, listings, rents, and market trends. This step is essential to identify meaningful comparable data that supports an accurate valuation. When it comes to reporting, the appraiser must provide an independent, well-supported opinion of value. The report needs to be clear, objective, and ethical, communicating the findings in a way that all stakeholders can trust. Underlying all these tasks is a foundation of expertise. The appraiser needs comprehensive knowledge of the property, market behavior, valuation methods, and professional standards to carry out their responsibilities effectively. This combination of fieldwork and analysis, guided by expertise, is what makes the appraiser's role so professional and vital. As we wrap up, let's review the key principles of appraisal that help transform market evidence into credible and defensible opinions of value. First, value is comparative. This means buyers always evaluate a property by comparing to other available options, a concept known as substitution. Second, markets are dynamic. Factors like supply, demand, competition, and change continuously influence price and desirability. Third, expectations matter. The value today is closely tied to what buyers anticipate the property will deliver in the future. Fourth, appraisal is a reasoned analysis. Professional appraisers use these principles to provide impartial and well-supported conclusions. Ultimately, strong appraisals blend these core principles, a rigorous process, and solid market evidence to arrive at reliable value assessments.